I've been with the company almost 34 years, working at various occupations in the company, various stages. I started from the ground and worked my way up to what I would consider the highest level in the company. I was hired by Tom Morgan. I worked with Tom Morgan and Glenn Brackett for many years, and now the owner is David Ondaatje. Continue working with him. I've been the rod designer for the company for the last 12 to 13 years. And through those years, I've learned a great deal about both the basics of rod design and how you blend that rod design with the expectation of the customer. So it's been a great few years. I've had fun receiving feedback from a variety of different anglers, expressing their expectations in rods as well as their satisfaction with the Winston action, which is very unique in the fly fishing industry.
At Winston, we have a tradition of innovation while adhering truly to the 90-year history of our company to bring the finest fishing tackle to the market and to the river. At the same time, we introduce new products with new materials and a new vision of what tackle can be on the water. We truly want our tackle to be as beautiful as the places you visit. So Winston has always had the finest tradition in the industry for fit and finish, with the beautiful nickel silver reel seats and the maple inserts and the lovely, of course, traditional green color of the rods.
There's a long storied tradition in this company of building fly rods for fly fishing. So in defining what that traditional action is, we would say that this is an action that makes the rod very easy to cast for the angler, to the point where you forget that you have the fly rod in your hands. This is something that's very important to us. We don't want our anglers out on the water trying to figure out how they're going to get the rod to do what they want the rod to do. So we incorporate a very progressive action in these rods, wherein in the shorter casts, the top third of the rod is working for you. As you need to extend that cast farther out, more of the rod starts to load for you easily and naturally. So it's just there when you need the extra power. I will build the prototype, no one else. I build the prototype to see how everything's going to fit. I'm the first one to cast them. And there are times when the first prototype I cast isn't going to work. So it's back to the drawing board. Perhaps the most important phase for us is that collaborative interaction with our dealers, some of the finest fly fishermen in the world, terrific casters, but we never go about it in the terms of how powerful does this rod have to be if somebody wants to cast it out in the parking lot.
So welcome to Winston, everybody. This is where we build our world-famous fly rods. This is our central blank facility. This is where reel seating, this is where rod ferruling, and our head wrapper is stationed right now. This is what graphite starts with. It's a pre-preg form, so it's pre-preg graphite. It has carbon fiber material or graphite. It has a resin based system in it, and then it's got a glass scrim holding all that together. This is our cutting room, and this is Rod, our pattern cutter right here. So this is where we actually cut all of our materials, and we cut them all by hand with a straight edge and razor blade exactly to specifications on patterns. It's a very handcrafted material, very meticulous, just a very accurate way of building and a very unique way of building a fly rod. So this is where we actually roll the graphite patterns onto mandrels. A mandrel is really just the physical mold of the rod pattern itself. Now you can see this would be for a tip. You can see how it tapers down from thicker to definitely thinner. So we have many mandrels for many different rod patterns. we currently have 2 rolling tables. So how it works is we tack that graphite pattern to a mandrel, and then they'll set the mandrel underneath the rolling table, and it'll wrap it over the top of the mandrel, and that's how we get our exact tapers of all of our fly rods. We just set the mandrel right onto the tape wrap machine, and as it turns, it wraps it over the top of the part. The reason for the tape wrap, it's like a shrink wrap. So as that part cures in the oven, it cures, and it cures all the way through. So all the resins and carbon fiber material cure in a nice uniform, even fashion. And it also holds that part onto the mandrel itself. Once it bakes, it actually bakes, it cures with those tape wrap rings on the part as well. So which will eventually be sanded off in this room. After that, they'll get put into our oven and then baked for a certain amount of time, and then pulled off, and eventually the mandrel will be removed, as well as the tape wrap material as well. This is the mandrel puller. This is how we remove our graphite parts from mandrels. This is the sanding table, or sanding machine. It's a wet sander, so it feeds, and you can see here how rough those parts are once the tape wrap's removed. It actually has visible ridges on there. It is a wet sand, so it reduces friction, so there's not fracturing or anything like that. After it's sanded all the way through, everything is mic'd out to very exact specifications, so we get to exact tapers and everything else. The green paint is very unique in that it doesn't hide the natural beauty of the tape wrap ring. So once we sand this off, you can still see marks left from the tape wrap rings. Now, when we put green paint over the top of that, it really pulls those rings back out and gives it this very beautiful translucent look. And you can see the natural beauty of graphite as well. And it's just absolutely wonderful. So a 4-piece rod is going to have 3 ferrules. And a ferrule is the connection point of the rod, which is right there. So 1, 2, 3. When they come out of blank rolling, the blank isn't at its finished length. So we have to find that taper in every single section when we start cutting them down. It's a custom cut ferrule. So we actually cut those sections perfectly together for a perfect fit, perfect finish, and it's just a very custom, nice feeling rod as well. We have about 20 at-home wrappers that will come in on a weekly basis. They'll pick up an order of rods, take them home, wrap the guides on at home, bring them back. Our head wrapper, Elaine, will inspect them to make sure all the guide wraps are tight and everything's on straight and it looks up to our quality control standards, and then she'll approve them and they'll move into coating. So most of our guides are wrapped on by local Montanans in our local area. It's a really unique operation. Now we won't go in there, but you can certainly point the camera in there and see how it's done. Now this is Michelle, she's our coating lead. Now we can't really open the door because the fumes are very toxic. We have oxygen hoods for all of our employees, so while they're coating, they're applying the coating material that they're safe and they're getting fresh air as they're coating the rod. The next day, after they get done drying, we will pull off all those rods and we hand sign every single Winston rod. And we have one calligrapher that does it all with a calligraphy pen and just some silver ink. And what she'll inscribe is the model, the length, the line weight, the physical ounces, and the serial number of the rod. And she also inscribed the serial number on the female ferrule, on each female ferrule of the rod as well, so you know which rod section goes to which rod you own. But Dennis, he does all of our reel seating. He's the master at this. It's what he does. So when he gets it where he wants it, he secures it to the grip to ensure that glue holds the reel seat in place. It's a slow cure glue, so it takes overnight cure, but it definitely sets up very, very well in the end. Jock Holmes, he does all of our rod inspections. So if you get our warranty card, you'll have Jock's name on there. He's an eagle eye for us. He can spot the smallest details that are going on, and he'll ensure that the final product is as perfect as we can possibly get it here. But you can see our inventory is nice and full. And we have a lot of orders ready to go out today, and this is where we are. For a rod to start as a flat sheet of graphite and go all the way to a finalized product like this, it's usually three weeks or so. So there's a lot of loving care that goes into every single rod to make sure it looks correct and it's built correctly for our very valued customers.
This year we've introduced the Pure series of rods. For years we've had a design book that has included Tom Morgan's original designs, and Annette has worked off this book for years along with other designers within the company. This year we told Annette, put the book away, take what you know, take what you've learned, and build the rods that you love, that are within the tradition of Winston.
We wanted a series that really came back to epitomize the traditional Winston action. We wanted a fully smooth, progressive action in a rod. We wanted a lightweight, high-performance rod. We wanted a rod that would cause people to say, oh, this is the Winston I remember from so many years ago. So it was, that was our intention for this rod series. The name itself came actually from outside of the company. When somebody was casting the rod and they said, Pure Winston. And that's how we came up with the name for that rod series. And we're very proud of that series.